All right, welcome to the final part of our series on radio jamming. We've spent a lot of time on the theory, but now we shift to action. This is your field guide, your playbook for what to do when you're the one on the front lines of an interference incident.
But before we dive in, let's get this important bit out of the way. This is the last part, part 20, of our tutorial based on the An Introduction to Radio Jamming report by RFI detectives. And just a reminder, this whole thing is for educational purposes, to help RF technicians like you identify, find, and report illegal jamming signals. Remember, using this kind of equipment is illegal just about everywhere, and the penalties are no joke.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to walk through the entire response protocol, from the moment you get the call all the way to your final professional duties. We're going to turn a potentially chaotic mess into a clear step-by-step process. Okay, first step, the playbook itself. Look, when you get that critical call about a potential jammer, this is not the time for guesswork. Having a solid, systematic protocol ready to go is probably the most valuable tool you'll have in your kit.
This quote, it just nails the situation, doesn't it? It's that moment every RF tech prepares for. The pressure is on, and being able to respond methodically, step by step, is what separates a quick fix from a total disaster.
So, the very first chapter in that playbook is the initial assessment. It is all about gathering intel and doing it fast. What you figure out in these first few minutes on site is going to steer your entire investigation. You've just arrived, things are down, everyone's looking at you, so what's the first move? The biggest challenge right out of the gate is knowing which questions to ask to cut through the panic and figure out what you're really dealing with. You see how these questions work? It's like a logical funnel. You start broad, what's broken, and you get narrower and narrower. Did a bunch of different systems all fail at the exact same time? Is the problem only happening inside this building? Questions like these help you quickly rule out simple equipment failure and start pointing you toward an external source of interference.
Okay, with that initial intel in your pocket, it's time to pull out the spectrum analyzer. We're done with theories and user reports. Now we're going hunting for hard, physical evidence on the airwaves.
But here's the thing. You can't find what's out of place if you don't know what in place looks like. That's why having a clean, pre-recorded noise floor baseline is absolutely non-negotiable. It's your map of what the RF world looked like before all the trouble started. And this is the hunt. You're not just looking for a random signal. You're looking for the difference between the before picture, your baseline, and the now picture. Any big, unexplained jump in the noise floor or a weird new carrier signal, that's your target. And hey, don't just grab screenshots. Capturing that raw IQ data is the key piece of evidence you'll need for a deeper analysis later on. Finding the signal is a huge win, for sure, but it's only half the battle. Now you have to properly document everything you've found to build a rock-solid case for the authorities. This is where the next critical phase begins. Think of this timeline as your new best friend. Documentation isn't something you save for the end, it's ongoing. You log every single thing with precise timestamps. The moment you're reasonably sure you're dealing with illegal jamming, you notify the regulatory body. We're talking within the hour. And all the while, you are meticulously preserving the evidence for any potential legal action down the road. So finally, let's zoom out a bit. Let's talk about the professional responsibilities, you could even call it the technician's code, that comes with having all this specialized knowledge. It really does all start here. Your ability to walk into a chaotic scene and quickly diagnose a complex interference problem is built entirely on your deep understanding of the fundamentals, the physics, the principles. That knowledge is your real diagnostic tool. You have to be proactive, not reactive. You can't just wait for something to break. Continuous monitoring and keeping those baseline documents up to date is hands down the best early warning system you've got. Look, your role is bigger than just fixing things. You're a steward of the airwaves. It's a duty, and that means strict legal compliance isn't optional, and reporting illegal activity properly and promptly, well, that's just a core part of the job. The technology in this space is moving at lightning speed for both the jammers and the good guys trying to stop them. What you know today might be out of date tomorrow. You've got to commit to always be learning, always developing if you want to stay effective in this field. So as we wrap this all up, I want to leave you with this one thought. Your skills as an RF technician, they do more than just solve technical problems. You are quite literally on the front lines protecting a vital, invisible resource that we all depend on. The real question is, are you ready to be its guardian? And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into radio jamming field response. Thank you so much for joining me for this final installment and for sticking with us through this entire 20-part series. I really hope it's given you the knowledge you need to get out there and protect the spectrum.